guys! I just want to be like, hey, I'm depressed. Okay, let me try this again. Hi, you guys! Here's another day here at Hey, you guys! It's another day here with Candid with Cat. And today, on this especially gloomy day, the only thing I am motivated to do is to make this video for you to talk about my experience with depression. Why am I deciding to talk about my experience with depression? It's because I am starting to feel it creeping in, and these last 3 days, I've been really unmotivated. I haven't done my hair or my makeup, and let me tell you that for this video, I didn't do either very well, so don't judge me. And the reason it's been creeping in, it's because it is the time of the year for me. For some reason, my feelings are just like, it is very easy for me to just stay in bed and have racing thoughts about how much I suck. So I thought, why not talk to my peeps about my struggle, and maybe you guys will relate as well, because I can't be the only one freaking going through this, because that would be totally unfair. I don't want this to be like a sad video, but I don't know how to joyfully talk about depression. If you guys are suffering with seasonal depression or have suffered with depression in the past, this video is for you. My very first episode with depression was when I was 15 years old. I didn't really know what was going on. I came from a middle school. We were really like united. It was a very small middle school. It was a very new school. I also played sports. I played just about every sport. Needless to say, middle school was the bomb diggity. So to all of my middle school peeps, you guys we know we bonded like heck back in the day. Now high school was a different experience for me because we didn't have a high school in our town at the time. So having to reintegrate into a different city where they had like 3 different high schools in that city. So those kids had already known each other. I always felt like I didn't fit in. I think I did a very good job of like faking it. I remember being a freshman and trying out for the volleyball team, and I actually didn't make it, being that I came from a middle school where I was the captain of the volleyball team, and it was devastating. And at the time I couldn't have called it depression because I didn't know what was going on with me. But I think that's kind of where the downhill spiral started. Freshman year was super freaking hard. Also, I think I dated too. I had like a boyfriend, and he ended up leaving me for like some other girl and ended up coming back, and then I didn't want him anymore, but that also played a role. Finally, my sophomore year, I made it, but I was like on the bench because I just didn't really feel a lot of support from the team. And to be honest, I felt some kind of like racism in my classes and with some of my teachers and with some of my peers too. Luckily, I've always had super supportive parents. My mom went to every game. And she definitely did the best that she could, you know. I was always trying to get straight A's. I graduated with a 4.33, and I just don't feel like the kids that came from my middle school came in with like all of the help, and you know, like we didn't get as many resources to help me with like college applications. Another thing was that I didn't really have the support like transferring from high school to like a university, so I just ended up going to the community college. And also my parents, you know, they weren't like financially in the best place for me to go away to school. Right out of high school, I think I started dating a guy that I like super fell in love with, and I was the shittiest girlfriend to him. So I lost him, and that to me was probably the second time that I had an episode, and that was when I was around 18. That episode lasted for 4 years. I've always been like a thinner girl, but I went down to like 87 pounds. I was using food as a way of control. I grew up with a family where we would all sit down every single day and have dinner together. Fortunately, this was around the time that my dad would like to talk about school and like to talk about, you know, problems. It was like a shitty feeling because I had just broken up with this guy and I was heartbroken and he refused to get back with me, and I didn't see that coming. And to me, it was like my first real heartbreak. I just didn't know how to handle it. Not having gone to like a university, I think it really affected me. When depression is there, something bad is worse. So there's a lot of negative self-talk. There's a lot of feelings of hopelessness, and as a teenager, it's already hard enough to manage your feelings. That lasted for 4 years of me refusing to eat with my family during dinner time because that's when they would decide to talk about the issues. My dad would be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you crying over some dumbass guy? Like, you know, obviously he knew that I was going to be 30 and fabulous, and I didn't. So I was sitting there crying like a... Yeah, I don't want to judge, but because of my experience with depression, I definitely believe that there is no such thing as a magic pill. I believe medication can help, but I also believe that there needs to be an internal change along with. After 4 years and just living miserably and losing my, like, getting bad eyesight from all of the weight that I was losing because I was trying to like skip meals because I was noticing that it would piss off my parents if I skipped meals, I decided that I was not just going to skip dinner, I was also going to skip breakfast, and I wanted them to see my suffering. And I realized that the reason I wanted them to see my suffering was because I had some resentment with them from like a past boyfriend that I had had. I lost a lot of my freedom when I was dating that guy. My parents hated him. He had tattoos and they just didn't like him and they didn't want me to be with him, and it was more like I was rebelling. And I felt like it was unfair because I was a good student, and then here's somebody that I'm interested in, and they told me I couldn't see him, and I refused. And for a long time I was going behind their back, like seeing him, and until they finally caught me, I lost all of my freedom. And so even though I dated this other guy that they actually really, really liked, things didn't work out with him, and I was still holding on resentment with my parents because I thought like, maybe the reason that things didn't work out with him is because I had a shitty attitude from the, you know, having to build this like rebellious attitude from, you know, the last relationship. So I blamed them, and I didn't feel like I was good enough, and I didn't feel like loved, and I felt super misunderstood. My dad was just like, get over it, blah, blah, blah. So there was like no meeting me halfway, and I couldn't get over it. So for 4 years, I pretty much self-sabotaged. Definitely had suicidal ideations. I definitely thought about taking my life, and at times on 2 occasions I like locked myself in a bathroom and was like, I'm gonna do it. And I was always too scared, which I'm really happy for. And I'm kind of like getting sad just thinking about it. My dad had a very harsh way of showing me that he cared during those times. I think his fear made him angry, which is kind of how I am now. But his fear made him angry with me, and he didn't understand why I was doing this to myself. So I didn't understand it either. After 4 years, I was in college at the time, and I decided to see a school counselor. I went to him, and I remember going to him and being like, I need to see you every single day. I need to talk to you every single day. Like, that's how desperate I was to get out of where I was just felt ashamed and guilt. Like, guilt was eating me up because, like, this guy refused to get back with me, and I knew it was my fault. I was such a bad girlfriend to him. What I was doing to myself was crazy, and I also didn't understand the chemical imbalance part. And I don't think my parents understood the chemical imbalance part. So when I went to him, he gave me so much clarity. And I remember he brought my parents together. It took my dad some time to like go hop on board with how I needed to be treated, but my mom definitely caught on, and I am just so grateful for the parents that I have. And we were able to sit down and talk about it, and between him helping me out, I was seeing a nutritionist, I was a psychiatrist, of course, a medical doctor. And, I decided I wanted something better for myself. I made myself suffer for so long, and I refused to get treatment because at the beginning I was refusing treatment. I just kind of wanted to be and sit in my own despair. I can't tell you why, but I just thought like I wasn't worth it. And I thought it wasn't worth it. If I couldn't be with this guy, it wasn't worth it. Why being with this guy was more important than my whole life, I don't know. I can't answer that for you. But I think that learning that I had this diagnosable, depression was the answers that I needed, and I think I was also in the right place where I wanted to help myself. This could be a little controversial. In my case, I felt like, yes, my depression was situational because there were things happening in my life, but I also think that I went through it for so long because I refused to get out of it, because I didn't want to help myself, because I didn't want to do the work. And I'm not saying that's how it is for everybody, because I know there's people that suffer with depression for a really long time. I'm worried to tell you, because I don't want you to think like, oh, nobody needs medication, but I decided not to go for medication. I decided that I hadn't done enough work on myself to just take a medication. I said, okay, I will consider medication once I feel like I've actually put some work towards me and worked on myself and started loving myself and started doing things that I enjoyed doing on purpose. So that's why I refused to take medication. For me, I had to do a whole lifestyle change, and I did a lot of healing. I did a lot of writing during that time. I wrote letters to people that I never sent. I really worked on my relationship with my family, and really focused on my medical health as well, because the fact that you're not eating, it does crazy things to your brain. It makes you irritable because you're hungry and you're refusing to eat. So I was just being a poor person to myself. And I don't want to say that everyone that that has depression or has been diagnosed with depression, that, hey, just do a lifestyle change and you're going to be fine. You're never going to feel it again. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that sometimes when you're diagnosed with something, you really need to look around you and see if the people in your life are, you have supportive people in your life, and if they're healthy people in your life, if what you're doing and your habits are healthy habits. Those are the things you need to look at before you just expect this person or this pill to fix everything for you. When you have a mental health disorder, I'm a huge believer that you have to be an active participant in your care. That's how I turn things around for myself, is I allow myself a day or two of feeling crappy and not doing anything and just forgiving myself for not getting things done. But I do not spend longer than 2 days just overthinking. I force myself to get out of bed. The thing about me is, because 4 years ago I forced myself to get out of that, I will never go back there again. I will never be that depressed. I will never think that another person's life is more important than mine. I will never do that to myself again. So I'm very aware of the people that are in my life. I cut people off if I feel like it's not healthy for me. That's why I'm starting to go to the gym, because I notice that it helps me, with these good juices going. And of course you're going to have bad days. Of course this weather really does impact how you feel, or the effort that you're putting into doing things. But once I accomplish it, I feel better about myself. It's just the feeling that I get before it. And maybe throughout the whole day, I made all these goals and I dragged myself to complete them. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be okay, I'm still feeling in a not so good mood, but I'm able to see that I accomplished all the things that I wanted to accomplish. And therefore, I can say to myself, look, everything you accomplished and you're not feeling well. Imagine when you start feeling well again. So if you want to know more about this, I can do another video. But I just wanted to let you guys know why I haven't really been making videos or posting things, and rather than fake that I'm just doing great. And I've been in a little funk lately, but I'm gonna be okay. And now that I've done this video, I am feeling a lot better. For you that is suffering with depression, I want you to know that you are worthy of being happy, that there is nobody more important than you. Even though you don't feel good right now, it's not always gonna be like that. That you can do great things in life. It doesn't matter how much time you've wasted. For the longest time, I said I wasted 4 years of my life. What could I possibly have done with that time? There's no point in going back. I want you to know that you have more control over your life than you think, even with the mental health disorder. And I think if you catch it in time and if you do the work, that you're preventing yourself from a worse case. Anyone that struggles with it, any kind of mental health disorder, like, I'm here for you. Let's conquer this fall and winter and seasonal depression together. Please, 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 always, always self-care and take care of each other. Thank you guys, and please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. I love you guys. Thank you.